Dr. Amanda with StraightSmile Solutions, StraightSmileSolutions.com, and today we're going to talk about these crazy symbols that you get when you do additional aligners, a refinement, or a mid-course correction. By the way, that's all synonymous. It's pretty much all the same thing. Just to remind you, additional aligners is what Invisalign calls it now, and all those fall under that bucket. A long time ago, we called them refinements if we got to the end and needed a reboot. And we called it a mid-course correction if we were stuck in the middle and need a reboot. Now, we've got something called warranty fit if it's at the beginning and there's a problem and you need a reboot, and additional aligners if it's in the middle or the end. Anyways, same thing. But I wanted to go over how IPR works, and if you need additional IPR on a second go round on a refinement, revision, additional aligners, or warranty fit, and what it's going to look like. So you may have seen these funky things in red or blue. So I'm going to explain how that works and what it means to you. So I think everything in ClinCheck 6.0, if you take your mouse and you hover it over whatever you have questions about, usually there's a pop-up that explains it to you pretty well. Not always, but try that if you have questions. So basically, if you see something like this in blue, it means that in the first ClinCheck, you did 0.3 IPR. Now, of course, if you didn't do it, then you didn't do it, right? So you need to let them know if you didn't do it. And they ask that question when you submit for your refinement, did you do the prescribed IPR? So like if you say that the patient's on aligner number 20 and there was IPR prescribed in aligner number 15, they're going to assume you did the IPR that was prescribed if they're on 20. Now they do have a question, did you do the prescribed IPR? If you forgot to do it, you should tell them, otherwise it's gonna screw up your ClinCheck. But anyways, that's what that means. Hey, by the way, just a friendly reminder, you already did 0.3 on this site. We are recommending an additional 0.2 millimeters. Now, if the total amount is less than or equal to 0.5 millimeters, which is considered quote unquote acceptable amount of IPR, it's going to be in blue. If the total amount is over 0.5, as you can see here, this would be 0.7. If you add this with this, the new recommended, it's going to be in red. That's why the blue in red. So blue is considered okay. Red is a red flag. Anytime I get a red, I go, wait, pump the brakes. First thing I'm gonna do, even if I get additional IPR on a blue, I'm gonna pull out that pano, and hopefully you're taking a progress pano if you're doing a mid-course correction refinement or additional aligners, especially if it's been more than a year. That's pretty much standard of care. I always recommend taking one. And I'm gonna make sure I have good enamel. If this is a teeny tiny tooth or this is on a teen or a kid, forget it. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna try to think of another way. Or I'm gonna try, remember, default IPR for Invisalign, unless you ask for something or change your clinical preferences, is always gonna be 3:3. 3:3 means anterior teeth, only canine to canine. That's, Palmer talk there, or international talk. So you can always do IPR more posterior. You can take it all the way back to the second molars if you want, if you feel comfortable doing that. Not everyone does. But I'd rather do spread, if I have to have IPR, there's no other way around it. I'd rather spread it out and do less on more sites than do a whole bunch on just a few sites and have sensitivity and risk multiple death or anything like that, or sensitivity for a lifetime, right? So especially if you see anything red, I always try to think outside the box if there's something red. Okay, if I see red, I'm like, what else can I do? First of all, if you're seeing red, you probably did your treatment plan wrong, because you shouldn't be having red, right? Why are you having so much IPR? Maybe you should have taken on a lower incisor extraction. You can still convert to that lower incisor extraction if you're getting a ton of additional IPR and it's all red. What else? You can take your IPR more posterior, distal to the canines. You have to ask for that. If they're not going to do it by default, you have to tell them to do that. Take my IPR more posterior. The other thing you can say is, please no more than 0.5 millimeters of cumulative IPR per interproximal space. That's pretty much a standard default that I throw on my ClinCheck treatment plans. You can even put it in your preferences. That way this will never ever happen. Or you can put this in your clinical preferences. Okay, if more than 0.5 millimeters is needed, please distribute IPR more posterior. You can put that also on your clinical preferences, or you can just tell them, anytime you do a refinement, or if it comes up, you can tell them in the modification to do that. So that's pretty much it. Again, workarounds are gonna be take out a lower incisor, redistribute IPR more posteriorly. You could also add distalization. If you did not have any impacted teeth, wisdom teeth behind it, you can distalize the lower. You have to check the bone and you got to check clinically, but I would say easily 1 millimeter to 1.5 millimeters. And the upper, oh my goodness, I've done 4, 5, 6. I've done a lot, 6 millimeters, and it turns out pretty darn good. But again, you got to check clinically to see if it's possible, and you also got to check the x-ray. And if you got an impacted tooth in there, it's not going to happen. So you got to check your x-ray as well, right? So lastly, you could do elastics. Maybe reduce some IPR if the patient was compliant. Of course, the heavier the elastics, I like to do button to button, not button to slot, which is the default. You have to ask for button to button. If any of this isn't making any sense, I really went fast here. I've got videos on literally everything I said. I've got an additional video on. You can search in my YouTube channel using the little magnifying glass, like class 3 elastics or just elastics or button or anything like that, and a video will pop up. If you cannot find it, shoot me an email, info@straightsmilesolutions.com, or send me a message on my channel. A little bit slower, I'm faster to reply to emails. You can also send me a message from any of my socials, Instagram, LinkedIn, and I will send you those videos. It is totally free of charge. I know where all my stuff is and all my content is, and I'm happy to share it with you. It's free. All right, thanks so much. Take care.